Hello everyone, in RxJava free tutorial part number 4. Today we are going to discuss different types of observables, different kinds of observables. So far in the previous tutorial I was using the observable type, but there are other types like maybe, single, completable and flowable. So why the other exist? Shouldn't we use only observable? Well, technically it is possible to use only observable, but basically for some scenario using different types like maybe or single just have more sense. Also, you might using some third-party library which is based on RxJava and you need to, let's say, fulfill the contract. So for example, you're using some method from some library and this method has a maybe as a return type. So in that case, of course, you need to use maybe. But let's start with the single. So if we have a source which we expect will emit one and only one item, there is a good choice to use single. So you might ask why. Basically, single is used when our source will emit one and only one item and we expect no more. And instead of on next, as we have in case the observable, single when emits the item will use on success, not on next, because of course in case of single we don't have any next items. So let's have a look how it looks in practice. Let's declare our single. So single of type string, because we will be emitting string as always, no surprise. Let's call it single, super fancy name, and I will use a custom method for creating a single. So I will declare my method here. And now, so you may ask another question. What is the good scenario for using single? For example, what can be the real world example? So actually, I think that response from some request is a good example of that. So basically, when you send some request to the API, some service, you expect one and only one response. And when there is no response, you can treat it as an error, of course. So let's create our single using the old good create method. So we have our emitter. So basically this is the object with the help of which we are emitting our items. Okay, and now, as I said, I think that request response is a good, let's say, use case for using single. So let's pretend that we are going to fetch some user from some API. Let's call it fetch user. Let's declare it here. Fetch user. And actually this will be only fake method, will not fetch any user from any API. Let's just return the name John here. It should be user. Okay, let's say that if our user is not null, then our emitter will emit our user. So as you can see, let's go back to here. We can call on our emitter on success, on error. So basically you don't see on next, because as I said, single can emit only one item and no more. And when there is no item, let's say emitted from single, technically you can treat it as an error. So in that case we'll emit our user, and the other case will emit error. Let's say it will be exception, user not found. we need to return that. So now we don't have any error besides that one. So yes, of course this needs to be static because we are working in the static world in this main method. Okay, so let's subscribe to our single, and I will be using this subscribe overload. So I will be passing single observer, and thanks to that I will have implementation of all three methods, three callbacks right away. So as you can see, on subscribe, on success, and on error is here. Okay, so as usually, let's print some things to the console, and the same here, but we need to change that. Okay, so we have all the example already in place, and what we expect is that our emitter, single emitter, will invoke on success, because of course we are returning from our fake method string which is never nil. So let's run the example. As we can see, the John is here, and now let's change that to nil and run our example again. And as you can see, user not found is here, so emitter actually emitted the error. So I hope you understand when you can use single and how it's different in comparison to the, let's say, our default observable. So let's go smoothly to the maybe type of observable. Maybe in essence is similar to single, and it can emit one item or 0 items. And in case of 0 items, we don't treat this as an error. So as you remember, in single, we expect always one item, and when there is no item, we treat it as an error. So let's look how it works in practice. Let's call it maybe, create our maybe, and now you might thinking when actually we can use maybe. So I think that you can come with a few scenarios, but let's imagine something like that. Suppose that you are opening some application, it can be desktop application or mobile application, and you need to read some file, and when this file has new content, you display it, but when it has any new content, you just do nothing. So there is no error, and I think that is a good example of usage of maybe. So let's actually create our maybe, and I will create a variable called new content and read file method, and this method will of course be our fake method, which will simulate reading some file, but we of course return some string, and let's say new content is here. Of course, in, let's say, real product, real application, you should call this asynchronously, and actually you can achieve that with RxJava. And we'll be talking about the, let's say, scheduling job on different threads in the future videos. So for now, all we need to know is that maybe actually can emit two events, I mean successful events, on success or on complete. So let's check if we have any new content, and in case we have, let's call on success with our new content. And if we don't have any new content, we simply call on complete. So as you can see, single doesn't have that, and maybe has that, and we don't treat let's say if we don't have any items, we don't treat as an error. We simply call onComplete. Okay, so of course this should be such a condition. Okay, so I have everything in place, so let's subscribe to our maybe. I'm subscribing to it using maybe observer, new maybe observer, and we can compare here. Single observer has 3 methods, 3 callbacks: on subscribe, on success, on error, and maybe observer on subscribe, on success, on error, and our onComplete. So here we have the difference. Okay, let's copy that guy to speed up things, and we can enter here no new content. Okay, let's comment that, because it will be, let's say, interrupting our console output. Okay, so we should see new content is here in case of maybe. And here we have our new content is here. And now let's change our read file method and return null. So the onComplete callback should be called. And here we have that. So I hope now you know what is the difference between maybe and single. You need to remember that single emits one and only one item. Any other situation is treated as an error, and maybe can emit one item or no items. And both of the situations we treat, let's say, normally as a successful operation. It is all for now. Thank you for watching, and in the next video I will show you completable observable and also flowable. Take care and see you soon. Bye.